Hey guys, this is Lauren with Bushel and Peck. Thank you so much for purchasing your kit for the Happy Fall Pumpkin String Art. This class was for MWR at the Kings Bay Naval Base. However, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you don't have to have the kit to participate. I will try to tell you everything that we're using and that's included for what you need to make the kit or make your own at home. But if you are interested in purchasing a kit, please go to our social media platforms and look for Bushel and Peck Art. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. So, I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and talk about what's going to be in our kit. And let's see. So for our nails, I chose the sinkers in a coated smooth shank. Preferably, if you can find what's called a fluted shank, that's my favorite option because it stays in wood better, but it's not necessary. And then I got them coated because if you'll see, they have kind of a rustic look to them, kind of a brown antique-y look. That's the coating that they have on them, and I thought that would look more fall than, say, a bright silver nail. So those are the 1 3/8 inch sinkers and smooth shank with a coat. For our string, we're going to be using the Artiste crochet thread, and that is the color number, but you don't have to use this exact one. This is for the stem of the pumpkin. That's the color number there. This is our pumpkin color. That's the color number there, or lot number there. And this is number 10 crochet thread. And you don't need the entire 400 yards. That is actually a lot. We'll probably only need, honestly, between 6 and 10 feet. We'll kind of play it as we go, but that's going to be a lot more than we'll need. So you'll have leftovers. And since we're going to be using stain, I've got a garbage bag, and I'll show you why that's important. We've got a couple different types of buttons. We're just going to pick one. I haven't decided which one I want yet, but we have about 10 or 12 different options there. Let's see. We have our stain. So this is the Minwax in, let me see what color this is, the dark walnut. Yeah, so the dark walnut 2716 Minwax. This one I got at Lowe's, but you can pretty much find this color anywhere. Lowe's, Home Depot, any kind of home improvement store, Ace Hardware. They even have some stains in like places like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, craft stores like that. They may not look exactly like this, like for carpentry purposes, but you can find stains in more fancy containers than that. So that's the Minwax Dark Walnut. You will need some masking tape to tape down your stencil. Each kit will have an apron in it, because with this stain, we want to make sure we're protecting our clothes and our skin. And if possible, we're wanting to do all of this outside. But for video purposes, I'm going to be doing it indoors. I do not recommend doing it indoors, because if you've ever worked with stain before, you know that it is very tricky, and I'm very intimidated by stain personally. Even after using it as much as I have, I still don't like to do it indoors if I don't have to, so I do not recommend doing it indoors. And it's not good to do chemical stuff indoors anyway if you can help it, because you never know if you're going to have, you know, like get lightheaded or anything. So please be very careful when using any kind of chemicals like that. We definitely want to have a nice ventilated space for that. Each kit will have some gloves, probably these cute pink ones, because, I mean, they're adorable. And you will need some paper towels for cleaning up your, for drying up your stain. If you've never done stain before, that will be part of the process. This is your stain application brush in your kit. You have your nails. Tonight we're going to be using approximately 100 nails. We'll play it by ear and I'll have an exact count for you in your kit. I'm going to start with 100 and that should be enough. Each kit comes with the decals that we showed online. There's the happy and there's the fall. So those are already cut out on the Cricut machine and applied to transfer tape. So all we have to do is just apply those, and we'll get to that shortly. You have a stencil that I made, and I added these little dots for you guys so that you'll know where to put the nails. We're going to try to shoot for right in the middle of each of those dots, including up here and the actual stem, and then along the lines to make that pumpkin. So that is a paper stencil that we have, and you want to use the dots for your nails. And then finally we have our board, and it's just a regular board. I mean, it's nothing fancy. I believe this is pine in a size 10 by 12 inch. It was cut down to 10 by 12 for our purposes. And I know that seems like a lot, but all of this is included in your kits. And if you need to know exact measurements or anything to do this yourself, you could always send me a message on one of our social media platforms. If you didn't get one of our kits, I'd be glad to help you with that. And in the meantime, I think we should go ahead and get started on our actual setup process. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and put down this trash bag as a type of makeshift tarp for purposes like cleanup purposes and keeping anything around us from getting this minwax on it. We don't want to get stain on anything at all. So I'm going to go ahead and put the protective bag down, the plastic down. I'm going to put my gloves on, and I'm going to put an apron on because I don't want to get anything on me. And then I'll come right back to you guys and we will start the actual staining process. Okay guys, welcome back. Let's see. So we've set up our plastic, we've put on our gloves, we've got our board and our brush and our minwax. Now, I cannot stress this enough. I've had this open less than a minute and I've already made a mess with this. This stuff gets everywhere. It is very thin. It stains immediately, and I would really hate for you guys to get it on your clothes or on your skin. If you see here, I just barely, when I opened it, it just barely got me, and it's already stained my skin. And I had to change gloves just from opening it. Be very, look at that. Be very, very careful with your stain because it does start its process immediately. It's very dark, very watery, and once it's on there, it's not going to come out. So please don't get it on your skin, on your clothes, on your furniture. Be very careful with it, okay? Preferably do this outside. So I'm going to go ahead and start applying. I don't know if you guys know this, but as I'm applying, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between stain and paint. Okay, so let's go ahead and start applying. We're not going to saturate our brush. We're just actually going to be adding just a very light coat of it. It's not super important that we get a dark coat because for those of you that do not know, stain is called stain for a reason because it's just meant to make an impression on your project. And what I mean by that is if this were paint, it would actually more sit on top of the project instead of saturate or soak into the wood of the project. And stain, once you apply it, you actually have to remove it. Now, that's what our paper towels are for. And we're going to be applying the stain, and it looks very, very dark right now because that's just the way it goes on. But then we come back later, and unlike paint, we're actually going to remove some of what we applied. And that's going to leave that wood green look, like here in the picture. It's hard for me to look behind the camera. See that in the picture there? That wood grain look? That's what we're going for. We're not going to have a solid, like dark brown color like you see here. That just goes on like that the first time around. And then we go in later with, some people use washcloths or microfiber cloths. Those are actually great options. I just use paper towels because it's usually the quickest, easiest thing I have around the house. And they can be pretty cheap. I mean, you can get roll paper towels for $1. So that's just usually the first thing that I kind of tend to go towards. But if you have extra cloths around the house, or maybe an old t-shirt that you can cut up, that would be ideal, just for the purposes of helping it soak up the stain quicker. So literally that's it. You've just stained your board. You've done it. That's all you have to do. Now, what we do after it's stained is we go in with our paper towels and we scrub all of that excess off, because we want what? Just a stain. We don't want something sitting on top. We don't want a coating. We want just a wood stain inside the grain. So let's go ahead and grab the paper towels and just grab you a couple, maybe 3, 4 little squares or rectangles, and just start at a corner here and start taking it off. See how that's still oily and still sitting on top? We don't want anything sitting on top. And let me show you the difference it made just from pulling that off. That is before we've taken it. So you see how dark and kind of yucky that looks? And then this is that nice wood grain stain. Look how pretty that stain. That's exactly what we want. We don't want a dark coating like that. We want a nice wood grain stain. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll meet back here in just a moment. Okay guys, we're back. I went ahead and I dried off all of the, it's hard to get a good angle. I dried off all of the excess, and so now we have that wood grain that comes through. If you see there, those lines, that pretty wood grain that comes through. And yes, I did do the sides too, in case you were wondering. I just added a little bit. There are some, I used the ugly piece of wood, people might call it, but I think it has character. So if you want to get down those little cracks, you can. I didn't, because I think it just gives it more character. But yes, I get the sides too, see. So now we have that wood grain going up and down like that. And we're going to remain with our gloves on, because this is going to still be a little bit oily. And we don't want to get it on our skin while we're working on it. You don't have to continue working at this point. You can wait and come back the next day and make sure it's dry, or you can continue to buff it until you're 100% positive you're not going to get any transfer. But for our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and start working, or continue working on it, but I'm going to leave my gloves on until we get to the actual like application and nailing part and things like that. But right now, oh, and I did want to show you guys, there is glue too in your kit. I forgot to tell you to apply your button later. Okay, so we have applied our stain. We have buffed our stain. And now we're going to, I'm going to fold this bag over, and we're done with our stain. So let's go ahead and move all of that garbage out of the way. And again, preferably outside if possible. We're going to do this next part. And you're going to need a hammer for this next part. It is not included in your kit. So you'll have to have your own hammer for this part. And you're going to need your stencil and your, where did I put it? Your roll of tape, because we're going to be taping down this actual stencil to the board there. Okay, so let's see if I can't, I may need to remove my gloves actually, because it's tape. So if you're able to go ahead and make like little strips beforehand, if you remember, you could do that. Let's see. We're going to make sure we line up our pumpkin in the middle. We're going to eyeball it. And we're going to put the bottom of the stencil on the bottom of the board, just like that. Let's make sure we have this facing the right way. So let's see, we got 12 inches wide and 10 inches tall. Let me make sure. We've got our stencils here. So we're gonna have happy right there. Fall's gonna be right there. Obviously this piece of paper is not gonna be there. But yeah, so happy is at a little angle like that in the picture. And then fall's right there beside it, straight. And then we have our string pumpkin right here. So that's perfect. So you're gonna do it with the 12-inch long, and you're gonna be 10 tall. Or maybe vice versa. Let me see. Okay. It actually will work either way, now that I think about it. Look at there. Yeah, so it actually doesn't matter. Correcting myself as I go. Okay. Putting it in the middle of the board, eyeball it. You're going to have the bottom of the paper, the stencil, at the bottom here. Go ahead and tape it down. And tape it very securely. It's not going to hurt your stain to get tape on it. It's not going to pull off any stain or leave any marks. Go ahead and tape all of that down. And yes, we're literally going to nail through the paper, because all we have to do after the nails are in is just pull the paper up and pull them from around the nails and then clean it up, and there will be a beautiful stencil or a beautiful set of nails that have been nailed down, and you won't need the paper anymore. So you just have to pull it up. Okay, let's do one more. All right, so that's what we'll have to get started on our nailing. So off camera, I'm gonna go ahead and start my nailing process, and I will talk to you guys a little bit about that before I do. So let me show you our nail here. These are 1 3/8 nails. We obviously don't want to go all the way in. For our purposes, we're only going to go halfway. So here, leaving that top half to stick out. And because these are 1 3/8 nails, they're actually going to stick out a little bit higher than usual, because it's easier to get the higher nail head when you leave it taller like that than the shorter ones. I do not recommend drilling or hammering too far down into the wood, because pulling the string later around it will become very difficult. You actually want it to stick up at least about halfway up your nail, okay? Besides, look how deep that wood is. We can't go any further than half because we'll hit the bottom, right? So shoot for about halfway with your nails, and go ahead and put one of those, hammer one of those in each of the dots that's on your stencil. And it's going to take you quite a while, and it's going to be a lot of work, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. So let's go ahead and do this off camera, since it's so loud and takes quite a while, and I'll meet you guys back once I've done my hammering. Hey guys, quick note and intermission. If you have any protective gear available, like, here, I'll show you actually. If you have any safety glasses or goggles or any kind of actual glasses, if you don't have safety ones, and you can use sunglasses or whatever you want. You don't have to use them, but if you have them available to you, please do use them, because I want you to be safe, and I don't want you to be upset with me if you hurt yourself. So please be very careful in this hammering process. Okay, we'll be right back. Hey guys, look what I've got. Took about 25 minutes, and I actually decided to put even less than half, maybe a quarter of my nail in. I did this only because I've done these before. If you feel more comfortable going deeper with the nail, then you definitely can. But this is what we ended up with. And now that we have all the nails in, and it ended up being, I believe, 96 nails. So I'm going to have an even 100 in all of the kits. So you have some extras to play with, because, you know, I'm sure you guys aren't perfect at nailing nails. I know I'm not. So if you have any ones that kind of bend or get messed up, or you don't like the look of it, or it fell out, you can have a couple extras in there. And then if you end up making a ton of errors on accident and you're kind of a novice hammerer or carpenter, then again, you can buy those. You don't have to get this kind, but this is the kind we're using tonight. So this is the Sinkers 1 3/8 coated smooth shank again. So if you need some more of those, it's only $4 for 400 of them. So 454 actually. So very affordable to get some more of these on your next project, or if you're making some changes to this one. So the next part we're gonna do is actually just remove the stencil. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to pull around. We're just gonna pull up, remove the paper, just tear it off. So let's see what we can do. And we'll have a reveal of our nails. And I mean, this is a pretty, I don't want to say easy project. It's definitely, the skill level is probably from 1 to 3. It's probably a 3 of my classes, skill level 3, because it does require hammering and staining process and things like that, which aren't usually in my novice classes. So kudos to you if you did end up doing this class, and I'm really proud of you guys for having done this class, because it's definitely one of our more challenging ones. And I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I'm sorry. I just don't want you guys to be sitting there in absolute silence. But yeah, I mean, this is really easy. So I can make kits for you guys for any stencil shape that you want. If you message me, I can make a custom stencil for you. It can literally be anything or say anything you want, and I will design it for you and then make a kit for you. And that's something I can do if you're interested. It's Bushel and Peck art, not Bushel and a Peck. It's just Bushel and Peck, B-U-S-H-E-L, and then A-N-D-P-E-C-K. And that's it. We have pulled off our paper stencil. You see some little bits and pieces we can pull off, but look at that. Guys, we did good. We did pretty good. And you see we've got our nice stain in the background with the lines running through it, and those coated nails really make all the difference, because normally if you were just wanting to go cheap and the quickest thing, you'd get like a regular roofing nail. They have larger heads on them. I don't like the larger heads, like the roofing nails, because they're often shorter, and that head can actually take away from how attractive the string can be. Anyway, long story short, that's what we ended up with, and it's kind of cool because it's got a rustic coating on it. Kind of neat. Looks like a Plinko board or something. Okay, so the next part we're going to do is the stringing. The last part we're going to do is the decal, because that's the easiest, quickest, and final thing that we're going to do. But let's go ahead and get started on the string. Okay guys, so it is the next morning. Sorry, I decided I was ready for bed. So it's the next morning, and we have everything stained, we have the nails put in, and we've removed our stencil. And the next thing we're going to do is our stem. So this greenish brown part right here, it's just, we're going to be using these two. Make sure you can see, oh, no, you can't even see what I'm doing. So these two right here, these two, and then those three. So this section right here of our stem is what we're going to be doing right now with our string. And we're going to start on the bottom left of the stem. So basically these two nails are the top of the pumpkin, and they're going to be where the orange is going to be. But for our greenish brown, we're going to start on this one right here. Whichever that one is on your stencil, that's where you're going to be right there. And you're going to tie a knot around it. So everyone will have the string in their kit, and you'll just start a little knot right here, just like this. See, just like a regular little loop. Put it around that base. And oh, and make sure you don't do what I'm sitting here doing, which is get these wrapped around. Try to keep your string off to the side, away from the nails. But the base stem piece, I'll try to show you in there. Okay, so that one right there. Put that around it, tie it off. So close that loop like that, and then tie it in a knot. And there you go. That's your starting point. So that's all there is to it to get started. You just tie that knot right there, and then we're going to be only stringing those like 8 or so nails, and we're going to do it randomly. So don't go like just one way, go all the different ways. Now, before you get started going randomly, I want to try to make a nice outline. So before we do that, wrap around each tip of the nail, around the entire stem, and set yourself a pattern or an outline. Okay? And so I went ahead and I made myself an outline, and I'm keeping this string, always keeping the string taut. Because once you get started like this, if you don't keep it taut, watch what happens. This part right here will start to get loose, and then you'll lose your hold. So you have to keep the string taut at all times while you're wrapping, or you can lose the loop, and it will mess up the entire thing. The good news is, I mean, you could always rewrap all of it. It's just very time consuming. But let's go ahead and we set a perimeter. We wrapped around each nail to set an outside little stencil. And then now we can go ahead and start zigzagging and randomly putting our string, like if we want to just do it back and forth like that, you can. And then bring it up here, around over there. Just make it as random as you can until it's got a good solid color going. Yeah, so, and it doesn't take much, as you can see, like we're basically already done with the stem. Like that, honestly, is all we had to do for the stem. Okay, so keeping that taut, now we've decided that we're done with the stem. You can add more. You don't have to add as little as I did, but that's what my greenish brown is going to look like. And I know the color is really off here, but it's a nice greenish brown. You'll see it when you get your kit, but that's just the stem right there. So we made an outline, and then we filled in the outline. And now we need to tie it off. So we tied it to start, now we need to tie it to finish it. And it's kind of annoying to do this part, I'll be honest with you, because it can slip off. But basically try to do the exact same thing that you did before. Make a knot like that. Make a little loop. Okay. And then that loop, see, I'm making a mess with all that. I'm gonna trim this to make it easier. And then that loop, kind of close it like that around your finger and get it ready. And keep wrapping until it's tight. And then when you get to a point, you can loop off and tighten it. Connect it just like that to one of the nails. And you've just made a little partial knot, and then go ahead and I would make another one. So loop it through like that. So we've got a little loop here, a little circle, and I'm going to wrap it until I can find a nail that's going to fit. I think that one will work for our needs. And then that's it. You've tightened it down. It's secure. You have a secure one here and a secure one here, and you finish the stem. That's it. That's all there is to it. Completely random. After you've set up the boundary, the little stencil there, you just completely random fill it in. You can fill as much or as little as you like, but that's it. We started here, and then we kind of tied off at several different places, 2 places actually, here and here, and then that's it. Now look how tight that is. See? So those aren't going anywhere. And now we can come in with our scissors and just shut that off, cut it off, and that's the stem. Now, the next part, our pumpkin, we're going to do a little bit differently. With our stem, we had to make that outline first before we did the zigzagging, the string. So you'll see a couple different bundles of the orange. You may or may not see a couple different bundles with your orange. It's just easier to work off of a couple little bundles than one big pile of bundles, or one big bundle, because you end up like this with a knot. And oh gosh, you can hear my dogs. The string will get caught while if you don't keep the string away from the nails, it'll get caught, and then you'll end up with a big mess like that. So I'm going to actually make you guys a couple different separate bundles, and what we want to do with those bundles is make outlines. I may give one big bundle just for the outline, and we start here on the top and we just loop around every single nail around the entire outside, and then we bring it into this first inner loop, come up, go up the second inner loop, come down the third inner loop, bring it up the fourth inner loop, and then tie off at the end of the stem right here. And that's going to make us a nice outline, because once we start to go in and we do the zigzagging and things like that, then we don't want our outline to get lost. We don't want our pattern to get lost. So we want it to be obvious that this is going to be a pumpkin. So if someone sees this outside, we want it to have a nice outline first before we start filling it in with the string. So our first bundle is going to be just for outlining purposes. Starting and doing, like I said before, you can start right or left. You're going to go around, up, down, up, down, up, and tie off, meeting at the same place. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get my bundle ready, and we will start doing that now. Okay, so I've got my bundle ready here. I'm going to try to keep the string as far away from the nails as possible, like my bundle, because I don't want to get them stuck in here and get a knot. So kind of maybe set that to the side and start the same knot situation that we had before. So tie off, make you a little loop like that. Select your nail to tie off for your starting point, and it can be, in my opinion, it should be the top right nail that is your stem nail, the bottom right stem nail. And I just made a knot. Make the loop and put it around that nail and tie it off. I know my arm might be in the way. I'll try to show you guys on the camera. Actually, I'll just go ahead and try to show you on the camera. Yeah, I mean, string is kind of a pain to work with for sure, but the payoff is definitely worth it, because this is going to really pop against that dark walnut backdrop. Okay, let me see if I can hold this up and do it at the same time. Alright, so making a loop, just like that, just a regular little loop. Put it here around the bottom right nail of the stem to start you off, and then tie that another loop to make it a knot. Okay, and then there we go, now it's secure. So now we're going to start wrapping one time around, actually we're going to go to the right. We're going to wrap one way, one time around each nail. So one loop, one loop, one loop, and go all the way around the outline of your pumpkin. See how that's making a nice little outline for us? And I would do it holding it in your right hand. Go on the outside of the nail, making your loops towards the right, and do that all the way around, keeping it tight in your hand, keeping the string tight in your hand. And then once you get all the way down here, you're going to go up and then down and then up and down on the right sides as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera now, and we're going to wrap a nice outline around the entirety of our pumpkin. Okay guys, we've got the outline done. So we want to make sure each nail has some string on it, some yarn or string on it, and each one is covered or has some started. This will help us just kind of figure out the shape of our pumpkin as we go. And congratulations, you guys, the hardest parts have already been done. If you have gotten through staining, nailing, and setting up your baseline here, your outline, guess what? That's the hardest stuff. The rest of it is pretty carefree and easy, and if you have done this part, then the rest of it is going to be a breeze, because we're just going to tie on a new one and with our large bundle of yarn, and we're just going to go crazy. You can try to make patterns if you want. I try to steer clear of those. I like the randomness of it. So if I wanted to put one here and go all the way down to here, I can. If I want to go here to here and then back over there, I can. Just remember, try to go vertical and horizontal, and don't just go one direction if you can. Just remember, maybe even go vertical, like diagonal, and then a vertical, or a horizontal, and then a vertical up here. So just kind of keep it very random, and include all the corners. Don't forget your corner pieces. And then this part that you've just done right here is going to be, again, the last thing we do. So let me explain that again. We're going to set up an outline. We already did that. If you're this far, you've done that. Now we're going to go in with our large bundle, and we're going to do our filling in, the kind of completely random stuff. And then to make it pop even more and make it a little bit prettier, you can go in later and then do another of just outline. So just the parts that you did right here, do that over it again, over your randomness. And what that's going to do is really make these details and this outline pop. Okay, you can see how it made it set up a baseline here, and it's making this pop. If you want to do that again on the back end, if you have extra string, I would definitely recommend going back in and doing another round of that back and forth outlining, and that's going to make a whole another layer of outline to bring this out. But anyway, I'll stop talking for now, but you guys go ahead and tie off. I tie off on the bottom personally for my larger part, and then just remember, stay random. Make sure you cover, or you've used every nail at least once, and go ahead and start using that big bundle to zigzag and fill it in, and then we'll meet back here. Before I forget, I want to make sure and remind you, so you're keeping the string tight with your right hand. And it's good to use the left hand to kind of help yourself hold. Like, I like to use my middle finger to guide on finding a nail head and wrapping it around. So my right hand is keeping it taut, my left hand is kind of doing the walking maybe. But you can find your own rhythm. That's just how I do it. And remember to keep the string away as much as you can away from the nails, the loose hanging string, so that it doesn't get caught up. And yeah, I just wanted to pop in and say that. So we're making our way, guys. And if you want to do it in sections, if it's easier for you, that's fine. Like if you want to work this way and then come across and then go back, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, just wanted to check in and let you know that we are still working on it. Alrighty. Make sure to try to fill in any bald spots as you go. If you see any, just loop around it, like I see a couple right here. So just come around, try to fill those in, and then they'll be good to go. Alright, so we're on our last string now. I'm going to wrap it, bring it down here, make that loop we talked about. Tie it off. Maybe right there. Make a second one. Just keep it secure. Tighten it. And there we go. So this is what it looks like before we put the outline on it, and before we put all the other parts on it, the little bow and the button and the decal. Don't forget we have to put the decal up here too. So off camera, I'll go ahead and I'll put another layer around just the outline. Don't do the zigzags like this. We're just gonna do the outline up and down, like the first thing that we did, around the entire borders and on the insides of just the pumpkin. And then you'll see a nice outline starting to form, and it'll really make these nails and this pattern pop. Okay guys, I know I had to move a little ahead here, and it's only because as I was filming the part about the decals, my phone died, and then I talked to a dead phone for 10 minutes. So that's where we're at right now. So anyway, I added those extra borders around the decal for that extra detail. Or around the, yeah, I added the borders around the pumpkin for the extra detail. And then now we're going to add the decal, which obviously I already did in another video, but then the video got deleted because I'm apparently inept at charging my phone. But I do want to have a quick discussion about the decal part of it. When you're applying your decal, you're going to be peeling off the hard back part, the paper part. And you're going to have a decal that is stuck to the clear part, which is the transfer tape, this part right here. And then you take the transfer tape, push it down where you want it, apply pressure. I did, some people use a credit card for that. I just use the butt of my scissors and apply pressure only where the letters are. And then starting at the top left, gently, with your right hand and your right thumb, pull downward and to the right. And as you're doing so when you start up here, use your left thumb to hold on to the decal and pull the decal off like this rubbing motion as you go and applying it. That way the decal will come off cleanly off of your transfer paper, and it will stick on the board. And then you will hopefully be pretty good putting that on there. And that's probably the most, not one of the most difficult parts, but it's a pretty tricky part. So left thumb pulling it off of this, and your right thumb pulling right to left, downward motion, very slowly, one letter at a time. Once you're done with H, go to A. When you're done with A, start up here at P, so on and so forth, until you finally reach the end. So the happy part was pretty tricky because of the cursive writing, and then fall was pretty easy. It just went right on. So happy was kind of at an angle, and then fall straight across. So there is that information about that. And I'm sorry, that video is lost in the ether forever and ever. Now, the very last thing we have to do is, you guys have some raffia, I'm not sure how you say it, honestly, in your kits, because that is what is pictured in your sign-up photo. For my purposes, since I'm going to be giving this to you guys, I'm just going to add some ribbon. I'm going to make a quick ribbon with one of these. I'll see which one I like. Let's see here. I mean, they're all kind of cute. I might kind of like that one. And then I've got the buttons too. Everybody's going to have their button too. So, and then you should have a bottle of glue. That should be in your kit as well. So for my button, I think I'm going to pick, well, let's see. I've got a couple different options. That one's okay. We'll try that one. Sure, why not? All right. So I'm going to go with, yeah, let's go with this ribbon. I like that one. Okay. So with this, I'm just going to take some off, make a quick bow, just like you would tie your shoe. Nothing fancy, just something I can glue on there. And you can do the same thing with the material that I'm giving you guys. So this stuff, you can treat it just like as if it were cloth, and you can tie it just like this. And make a bow, tie it around, pull it through, and then I will trim that and pretty it up a little bit. Okay. Pretty quick and easy little bow. Nothing fancy here. And I might shorten it a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Like right there. Sure. That will work. So, bottle of glue in your kit. And this reminds me, so I've got a nail in it, and some people do this. They use a thumbtack if it will fit, or a nail, because when you're reusing tacky glue like this, oftentimes the tops get closed in, and people, instead of trying to preserve it or reuse it, they'll just throw the whole bottle out. But I often put a thumbtack or a little roofing nail in there to keep that opening open. So that's a little tip for you. So if you open your glue and you find one of those, that is why you have a nail in there. And then if you don't have one, or the top is already closed, just take some scissors and trim it, and you can reuse that later. And then if you want, get you a little nail, put it in there, and that hole will never close now that you've put that in there. So that's a little tip for you. Okay, so I'm just going to apply, let's see, do I want it that way or that way? Let's do it that way. So I'm just going to apply some glue. It's not going to be anything fancy or nothing fancy or crazy. It's just a little detail we're going to add. And let's see where I want to put it. You can put yours wherever. If you don't want to put it, here, you can put it off to the side, or on the bottom, or up here on the board, wherever you want to put it. But in the photos, ours are right here on the little bit of string. So I'm just going to use the glue to attach to the string. And that's going to take a minute to dry. And if you have a hot glue gun at home, that's even better. But obviously I can't send a hot glue gun out to everybody because, my goodness, that would be so expensive, right? And then later, once this is completely dry, maybe just let this sit like this for about 10 or 15 minutes. And it should be on there pretty good. Or if you have a hot glue gun, it'll do it instantly. Yeah, but I added like way too much glue, so it's going to take a minute. But I'm just going to have it right there. I'm going to let it sit right there and get dry. And then the last finishing touch is the button. So again, getting our tacky glue, or if you have hot glue and you're fancy and you've already got your whole craft room set up or the makings of one, you can use hot glue instead, which everybody loves hot glue. Can't go wrong with that, right? But for our purposes, we're just going to put some tacky glue on there. And then a little button. And then all that's got to dry. If you want to adjust it, you can adjust it. If you want to use ribbon, you can. I'm going to see if this ribbon will take, but this is what's going to be in your kit because it's so much cuter and it looks like not pine straw, but it looks like straw. So it looks very like fall and autumny. But I didn't want to use up you guys' stash, so this is going to be in your kit, just like in the picture. And then I went a little extra with mine. It may or may not stay because it's a heavy ribbon, but you get the gist. So that is what it's going to look like, you guys. And we'll see how it works. But what did you think? Do you like how yours turned out? Let me know. Let me know what you thought about the video. And I'd love to see your finished products. If you could tag me, tag Bushel and Peck on Instagram or Facebook. Facebook is our preferred one, but yeah, if you want to tag us in any of those, that'd be great. Let me know how it turned out, or if you went a little extra on it like I did with a ribbon. Yeah, so thank you so much again for supporting small business and for supporting Bushel and Peck. We hope to see you again in another class soon, and thank you. Take care and good luck, guys. Bye-bye.